When you think about what a plant eats, you probably think sunlight and water, right? Well, that's really just the appetizer. The main course is this whole hidden menu of nutrients they have to pull from the soil and the air. It's a diet that is way more complex than you might think. So today, we're going to uncover what they eat, how they eat it, and what happens when some plants get, well, let's just say, truly adventurous with their appetite. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the essential menu for pretty much any plant. Then we'll see how they actually absorb all those nutrients from the soil. We're also going to play doctor and diagnose what a bad plant diet looks like. And we'll finish up with some absolutely incredible plants that have evolved some really strange tastes. All right, first up, what exactly are the chemical ingredients that plants need to literally build themselves from the ground up? Because believe me, it's a whole lot more than just H2O. To answer that, you almost have to think like a chef. Plants need a very specific diet of what we call inorganic nutrients. These are the raw materials they get from the soil, the air, and, of course, water. And they use these materials to create everything they need, from their leaves and stems all the way to their flowers. The easiest way to think about these nutrients is to compare them to our own diet. Over on the left, you've got the macronutrients. This is the main course, the stuff plants need a lot of. And on the right, you've got the micronutrients. Think of these like vitamins. They're needed in really tiny, trace amounts, but they are still absolutely essential for survival. So let's take a look at that main course. The top three there, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, those are the easy ones. Plants get those directly from carbon dioxide in the air and from water. But the others, like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, those have to be absorbed from the soil. And hey, if you've ever looked at a bag of fertilizer, these are the big three you always see listed. NPK. And here are the vitamins. Now, even though they're needed in these teeny tiny amounts, a plant just cannot function without them. Take iron, for example. It's a critical helper in the process of making chlorophyll, the green stuff that captures sunlight. Without it, the plant's whole energy factory just shuts down. Okay, so plants have their shopping list of nutrients, but how do they actually get them from the soil and into their system? Well, it all comes down to this amazing, specialized organ, the root system. And a plant's real secret weapon for absorption is right here. Now, these aren't the big, thick roots you can easily see. No, these are microscopic extensions from the outer cells called root hairs. Their entire job is to massively increase the surface area, letting the plant soak up as much water and dissolve minerals as it possibly can. Now, if we were to slice a root open, we'd see this incredible internal structure. I want you to focus on that third row, the endodermis. This layer has these waterproof Casparian strips that basically act like a bouncer at a club. It's a super selective gatekeeper that forces water and minerals to pass through a cell membrane, which lets the plant regulate exactly what gets into its internal plumbing, the vascular cylinder. Of course, sometimes the soil just doesn't have everything a plant needs. And just like us, when a plant's diet is lacking, it starts to show visible symptoms. And, while a lot of plants just suffer, this exact problem has forced others to evolve some truly radical solutions, which we're going to see in just a bit. This is probably the most common deficiency you might see in a garden. Nitrogen is absolutely essential for making chlorophyll. So when a plant can't get enough of it, like the one on the right, it just can't produce that green pigment. The result is a condition called chlorosis, that telltale yellowing of the leaves and just overall stunted growth. A phosphorus deficiency, on the other hand, looks a little different. Phosphorus is key for transferring energy using a molecule called ATP. Without enough of it, the plant's whole metabolism just slows way down. This can lead to dark, dull-looking leaves, sometimes with these weird red or purple spots, and really poor root development. And if you want to see just how specific these roles can be, check this out. Magnesium. It is the single central atom in every single molecule of chlorophyll. Seriously, think of it like the keystone in an arch. You pull out that one tiny piece, and the entire structure for capturing sunlight just collapses. So, we've seen the normal menu. But what happens when a plant lives somewhere that the menu is always incomplete? Well, it adapts. And that brings us to our final and most surprising section. Plants that have evolved to find nutrition in some very unusual ways. So the vast majority of plants are autotrophic. They make their own food through photosynthesis. That's the big slice of the pie right there. But evolution has come up with some pretty fascinating alternatives. Some plants are parasites, some are just harmless tenants called epiphytes, and some are hunters. Now, there is a huge difference between these two. A parasitic plant like Rafflesia is a true thief. It literally plugs itself into its host's vascular system and steals everything. But an epiphyte, like an orchid, it's just a harmless tenant. It's just using another plant to get a better seat, to get closer to the sunlight. And that leads us to the question that baffled botanists for years. Why would a perfectly good plant that can photosynthesize, like a Venus flytrap or a pitcher plant, go to all the trouble of evolving these complex moving traps just to catch and kill bugs? And believe me, it is an elaborate process. They are actively hunting. First, they lure their unsuspecting prey in with some sweet nectar. Then, snap! They spring their trap, using specialized leaves that either shut tight or form these deep, inescapable pools. And finally, they secrete digestive enzymes to slowly break down the insect's body and absorb all the nutrients. And here it is, the big reveal. They're not eating insects for energy or for calories. They get all of that from the sun, just like any other plant. They're doing it to supplement their diet. See, these plants evolved in bogs and swamps where the soil is incredibly poor in one specific macronutrient we talked about right at the beginning, nitrogen. The insects are literally their fertilizer. So, from a simple menu of elements to developing complex hunting strategies, the world of plant nutrition is so much more active and dynamic than we often imagine. So the next time you look at a plant, just remember its hidden life and ask yourself, if they can evolve to hunt, what else are they capable of?